Okay, if I can kick off with a little bit of the why before we get our fingers deeply into the how. I just wanted to make two quick points, slightly with my academic hat on. The first is now all the recent research, wonderful book by Stan DeHane called How We Learn. I don't know if the rest of you have come across it yet. Make it very clear from the neuroscience that curiosity driving learning is a built-in evolutionary strategy for human beings. It's not something we turn on occasionally. It's not something we have to be prodded to do. It's part and parcel of it's what stimulates our learning. We are natural born explorers, not only being reactive, looking for the patterns that show up in the world around us and registering them in terms of predictions and expectations in our brains, but also we're deeply wired to be proactive, to go out looking for trouble, if you like, providing it's not too troubling, because forewarned is forearmed, that we are highly, to use the fancy word, epistemic creatures. We seek knowledge just in case it might be useful. The more we know, the more we can anticipate, the less we're caught on the hop, the less we're at evolutionary risk, or risk to our families, or risk to our pet projects, or whatever it may be. So some of you will have read a great book by Norman Doy called The Brain That Changes Itself. It's like the brain is exquisitely tuned to things that are surprising or disappointing. And it squirts dopamine into that area of the brain. So that area becomes super malleable, super responsive to new patterns in the environment. And also that, as I say, like putting our boots on and going looking for it. So as Bill Lucas and others have said, curiosity is the engine of learning, and learning is our middle name, if you like. And then I just wanted to contrast that quickly with the kind of, this is to think and talk about how we cultivate curiosity in schools is a deeply countercultural idea, because schools are deeply systemically, structurally antithetical to curiosity. Schools are built around the idea of a prescribed curriculum that has to be delivered to children, that we know what they need to know, whether they experience that need or not at any particular moment, and then we have to carve it up into curious sized chunks of time which bear no relationship to the natural arising and falling away or satisfaction of that curiosity. And we carve it up into subjects which don't exist in the real world, and we take them out of the real world where they're full of curiosity and put them in a special place where they have to be, because it's Monday at 10 o'clock, they have to be interested in French irregular verbs or the history of their country or something like that. So I want to write a little book called School is Very Strange, because it is a very strange institution. And what we're talking about today is an attempt to try and penetrate some of that strangeness and put a bit of common sense back into education. That's the end of my opening rant. Thank you.
I think that you need a mic drop after that, Guy. That's like, walk away. Yeah. Amazing. Can I add to the why?
Yes, please.
Just a little. I mean, this is, and I'm going to, my academic hat slipped off a long time ago, so I don't think I can claim to be wearing one anymore, although I did for a decade or so, but it was a long time ago. So this is coming perhaps from a less academic perspective, but to put it really bluntly, what we do know about curiosity and what we see every day as teachers when we cultivate it is that when kids are curious about something and then learn about that thing, they learn it better and it sticks for longer. It's as simple and complex as that. And I often talk about that with children, that it's like one side of the Velcro. If you really are genuinely, we are meaning-seeking missiles, aren't we? We want to make sense of the world. And so finding the connection between what the children are interested in and then using that interest to engage them in learning sometimes about the things that we want them to learn about, means we get that beautiful sweet spot between I'm hungry to learn that thing that we need to learn about, and then it sticks, and it sticks for longer. But I also want to add to the why schools kill it. I mean, curiosity, interest, and creativity are all deeply connected. And of course, Ken Robinson talked about schools being places that kill creativity, and I would argue that they also kill curiosity, for the reasons that Guy has so articulately said. And I wanted to add perhaps it's a slightly more, I don't know, I feel like it's almost a conspiracy theory mode coming out now. But, we often think about curiosity in kind of terms of delight and wonder and, oh, isn't it? And that's all beautiful. But curiosity is also about critique. It's also about digging underneath things. It's about going, hang on a second, there's more to this than meets the eye. Schools are not places that culturally want their learners to have that kind of critical mindset, if you like. I feel like there's another aspect to the culture that is about ensuring that we have, and this, again, I'm sounding dramatic here, but the kind of passivity and compliance that schools still tell kids without often realizing it is what they value the most. Curiosity and compliance actually are not, that they're not easy, they're not particularly compatible. Do you know what I mean? So the cultivating a culture wherein the people in the community are looking underneath things, are questioning things, are going, hang on a second, maybe what about that doesn't work particularly well for a culture that that works because of its community's compliance. And that is the end of my rant.
A little mini footnote to this. I mean, school is not just strange; it's also stupid in many ways. And one of the most stupid things about school is the belief that you can turn off the engine of learning, which is curiosity, and then sit there wondering why the car's not going anywhere. I mean, that's really, really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
and
you.
I do. Yes. No.
No.
Stop.
No, it's really powerful. And just thinking about blocks that we put in, because Marie's kind of highlighted in the chat there, how do we kill curiosity? And it can be quite a painful experience as an educator to reflect on the things that have been put in place that are perhaps outside of your control, but the things that you feed into unwittingly that could still be killing curiosity, and that's quite a painful thing to examine in self, in your own practice. We talk a lot in learning pioneering about making the unconscious conscious, and to be able to examine our practice and say with kindness and non-judgment to ourselves, that's not serving my learners anymore. We need to do something differently. So that's the kind of self piece. But I'm just thinking a bit, Guy, about in the metaphor you share in Powering Up Your School, the Edward de Bono one about the rocks and the water, being rock and water thing.
Yeah.
So we've kind of shared a few of the rocks there. We've got the timetable can be a rock, the way that the curriculum can be a rock. We've discussed in Press Play how if you actually redesign school, you wouldn't really be putting children into year groups. That's another thing that could kill curiosity, to be able to learn with different aged people, why, changing that. But that could be a block. So there's so many blocks, but I love that idea of being the water and niftily weaving our way around that. And when you shared that with us, Guy, not so long ago, you also talked about how water can wear away at the rocks. And I loved that idea. So maybe we can kind of go into that, despite
very good. It's useful to identify the rocks and to be clear about where they are and what they are. But then absolutely, Becky, that's a very useful reminder. So we will now turn our attention to water weaving.